Hold on a second. All right, Coach. Obviously, the last couple weeks you guys have come up with some pretty big wins. The first week, the win over Henry Clay was obviously considered an upset. They were really highly ranked in the state. Those are the wins that coaches seem to really relish. The ones where people don't give their team much of a chance going in. Over your coaching career, what sticks out as a game like that really has been the most satisfying from that angle?
Wow, you're going to ask me a hard question, and I'm going to make somebody mad at some point, because there's been a lot of times, having been here since 1985, there's been a lot of games like that. I could go all the way back to 1986 and beating Warren Central out of here in the state at large championship. Probably, though, earlier in 1986, we played Boyd County at Boyd County. Boyd County was heavily favored. They were the #1 ranked team in the state, outside the state. We went down there. John Smith had a punt returner, remember that? John Ransdale had a couple good runs, but defensively in the second half, we played great defense, won that game 28-14, and that would probably, I remember that because that's the first one that was like that. And there have been a lot of them since then. But, that one sticks out because it was my first one coaching-wise.
Coming into the season, I know you were debating about the quarterback situation, and one of the quarterbacks coming in it was in competition was your son, Bryson. How did that whole situation translate to the home front?
Tension, and it's not an easy thing, I can tell you right there, and it wasn't easy for him either. And we're only 2 games in. He's done everything we've asked him to do. And so far it's working. I gotta make sure I don't make his mom mad. I don't make him mad, but at the same token, I gotta do what's right and what's fair and what's best for our team. Right now, that's I feel that's where we're at. If it had been the other way, it would have been tough, but tough call. But you never know. Things could ever change. It's just it was not real comfortable. It wasn't easy, and it couldn't have been easy on him either.
I was gonna say, who's it tougher on, you or him? You think?
I don't know. It might have been tougher on him too, because I know I was pretty tough on him about some things. So, he'd probably tell you it was much tougher on him. But like I said, it's very, very early. We've played 2 games. He's done a good job managing the offense. He's done a good job getting us in the right play. He's been efficient passing, nothing spectacular, been efficient. And, that's really about all we can ask of him.
I've always been kind of fascinated with coaches who go to one school that has a lot of tradition. You went to Highlands, obviously, won a state championship there. And you've been at Boone for a while now. I mean, I've always wondered, at what point do you kind of stop being a Highlands guy and become a Boone County guy? You've been here a while now.
Oh, I've been here a long time, and actually, you can go back to 1984. I was coaching in Campbell County, and that was the first game, and maybe the only game Campbell's ever won at Highlands. And I was on the Campbell staff that year, and one of the players was wearing one of my Highlands T-shirts underneath. That probably didn't help. I don't know. I've got some great relationships with people over there. I've had 2 nephews who had had really good, solid careers there, Eric and Brian Beck, and I've been here so long, most people think I went to school here, to be honest with you, at least out this way. It was a great experience for me, and it was a great tradition to be a part of. But, I'm very lucky to have been here for all these years. And Coach Houck, who, had been at Highlands, who brought me here, and that connection's what got me here in the first place. That had a lot to do with it. So, I try to remember the positive things that I learned playing for my high school coaches, and we try to translate that here. And I think Coach Houck, that tie between the two. My coaches give me a hard time about that, but they're all Boone County guys. They'll tell me that secretly, deep down, I have some deep, dark, desire, whatever. I don't know. Like I said, it was a great experience for me. I know it was a great experience for my brother playing there, my nephews playing there, and like I said, it's I've been here so long though. It's like most people think I'm part of the building.
You went from there and played a couple years as a walk-on at Alabama. Being a scout team, practice team player, does that make you sympathize anymore with the guys that you put out there on your scout team?
They'll tell you no, because I have a long reputation of making guys run a play again. But I know that was what it was like. The one thing it does, I think, it gives me a perspective that I can give kids that want to play at that level and who think they want to be a walk-on, because it's not easy, and it's harder now with the scholarship limitations. Back in those days, there was 150 guys, so I was probably 150 out of 150. You know, just somebody that you get through practice with. I'm very thankful. It's something that I always wanted to do, was to go and be on a team that Coach Bryant coached. And, you know, it wasn't very long. Nobody in the world hardly probably remembers I'm there. I'm in a spring game program from 1980. The spring game, that's the only thing I'm in. Some kid, I was wearing Joe Jones' number, and some kid asked me if you could have the autograph, then he found out it wasn't me. And I have a friend I went to school with there who collects autographs. He got my autograph. It's worth absolutely nothing. And in the grand scheme of that tradition, I'm somewhere down. But, I'm very, very proud of my time. And as everybody knows, I don't think it's any secret, how I feel about it. I work for camp every year. It's kind of neat for me to go work their camp, to go work in a state where football is like very, very important. Yeah. Like it's as important as anything that goes on, and it kind of gives me perspective, gives me a chance to talk to coaches from a different part of the world, and also, we have some things up here in Kentucky that some of those guys would like to have, and so I've built some good relationships there, and I've really enjoyed it. But it was a lifelong thing I was going to do, but. Like I said, I can also give the perspective to a kid. It's not an easy thing to do. It's really difficult for a walk-on to be able to get the play. I mean, it's just a hard thing to do. In
your couple years on the scout team down there, what's the hardest you ever got hit?
Oh, you can't even.
Those were some good teams.
Those were some good. They were great defensive teams. The Alabama people will recognize, a team that would have had Thomas Boyd and Randy Scott. Jeremiah Castile was a freshman, as with Tommy Wilcox, who were both starting in the secondary on that team. Warren Lyles up front slammed me in front. I was in a football class and during spring practice, and we're doing a 3-on-3 drill in the stadium, and I remember seeing the press box. That's all I remember as I went airborne. And the next day, I had coaching football class, and Coach Rutledge, who is still, if you go on YouTube and you find Coach Rutledge talking about, he does tell some great Coach Bryant stories, but he was coaching then. He's at Tuscaloosa Christian Academy, I believe is where he's at right now. And the next day in class, he had cut-ups of that 3-on-3 drill, and he showed me bouncing. I bounced at least 2 or 3 times. And I was Warren Lyles, who ended up playing with the Giants for a while. So there were a lot of great players. I was just lucky to be able to, practice and,
Yeah.
It was just something that I made a lot of great friends though there that weren't involved in football. It was a great experience for me, and it's just something I wanted to do, and I did it.
What's your favorite Coach Bryant story that you can say on the internet?
For me, was the day he asked what my name is. That was the best one. Ricky Tucker, who was an all-conference defensive back, and he was an FCA guy, and so I knew Ricky. We were coming through the tunnel in those days. The practice field in the Coliseum, our locker room was in the Coliseum, and it was separated by a tunnel to get there. And so we were coming out of the tunnel, and Coach Bryant was behind me, and I heard him go, what's the little man say, little man, and he said something, and then Ricky Tucker told him my name, scared the crap out of me. Now I will say that 2 days before that, we were practicing out there, and I made a run to what I thought was halfway decent, and I hear him in the tower go, "Good job, little man," and I look up thinking, holy crap, he was looking at Timmy Clark, who was 2 fields over, who did a good job. I should have known better, because I wasn't really very good. So, but those things were special to me, because after I left, they played Kentucky up here the first year I came back in '81, and I went by the locker room to take my brother back in the locker room and see some guys I knew, and it was pregame, and Coach Bryant said, "How you doing, little man?" Which I don't know if it meant he knew who I was, but to me,
yeah.
He knew who I was. That's there were just so many stories. Him walking in during spring practice, and we're sitting there, and everybody knew when he was coming, because the hats would come off and everybody would sit up, even though he wasn't in the room. You knew he was coming, and he came in and he wanted to talk to us about. We were going to I think it was Starkville. In those days you used to play Ole Miss and Jackson, and and Jackson wasn't that far of a bus ride. But Coach came in and he got talking about, guys, now, we usually take a plane, and he kind of mumbled a few things about, the advantages of you know, taking a bus and stuff like that. And he looks at Jim Bob Harris, who's safety. Jim Bob, what do you want to do? And Jim Bob goes, Coach, I want to fly. And he looks at him, well, we're going to take the bus. And he walked out, and that was the end of the meeting. So, you know, in those days, he had been around a long time, and I know that, you know, he was in the tower. He had to come down and go to the bathroom a lot. You know, and guys always knew when he was up there with it, because inevitably he would be looking at somebody when they weren't doing a good job. And that always, you know, everybody wanted to do their best for that guy up in the tower. And, you know, people can talk about how much he coached or didn't coach at the end. Everybody knew where the man in the tower was, and everybody knew, you know, who was in charge. And he still had that special way of getting people to play to the utmost of their ability every day, every play, and convincing guys that you had to get better each and every day. And you know, he always said that, you know, when I quit coaching, I'm going to be dead in a year. And, you know, the shame was he died a month later.
Yep. I appreciate it, Coach.
All right.
Thank you.